It's great to be back. My name is Leo Hochberg. I'm the youth correspondent here with Make It Fair, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that's very near and dear to many students' hearts here in the US, which is student loans. Today I have with me a dear friend, Laura Thrapp, to talk about her own personal experience with student loans in college.
Thanks for having me on the show, Leo. It's really great to be here. Thanks.
All right, so when it comes to student loans, they've become a massive inhibitor to student success here in the country, particularly for low-income students. So these days, students are frequently citing student loans as reasons that they're pushing back major decisions and major purchases, like getting married, buying a house, buying a car, really important decisions that can affect their lives later on, but that they have to hold back because they owe money to organizations that collect student loans. Those organizations have become an incredibly massive industry. In fact, if the US government privatized its student loan industry, it would be the most profitable corporation in the entire world, beating out ExxonMobil by about $5 billion. So in that spirit, I have brought Laura on the show today to talk about how student loans have affected her life personally. So Laura, could you start by talking a little bit about your own experience with student loans and the ways that they've affected your decisions, things you've put off, things you've thought about, potentially ways it's changed the way you think about your career?
Sure. So looking at college, I kind of had that romanticized vision that everybody does when they think about college. Like, I'm going to go where I want to go. I'm going to go where I fit in, where the flowers bloom brighter and smell nicer, whatever. And of course I went in with that idea, and then I quickly realized that I was going to have to be making a financial decision more so than an emotional decision. And that really shaped where I ended up going and the program that I ended up going into, because this is the biggest purchase that I've ever made. And so going in, I wanted to find as many shortcuts, loopholes, backdoors as I possibly could. And I was really fortunate that I had help from my parents for the first year. We did have to take out subsidized and unsubsidized loans from the government. I didn't really qualify for FAFSA, not because I'm upper class or anything, but because we didn't quite meet the bar. And I do have two little brothers, so they need some of that income as well. So I did have to take some government loans out for the first year, but my parents helped with the rest. And we actually refinanced a house to pay for some of my first year. And then I was on my own for the rest of the process. So last summer was me going into my second year of college, and I was very new to the whole process. None of my parents went to school and college traditionally, so going right out of high school. And so it's not that I didn't have a lot of help, but I didn't have a lot of the current knowledge at my disposal, so I had to go find it on my own. And I got Sallie Mae loans starting last summer. And another thing that influenced my decisions for my education is I wanted to graduate early because I figured that I could do it. I came in with some credits. And if I had taken some extra credits semesters, and if I had taken some CLEP tests and community college classes, I would be able to do it in 3 years.
And was the decision to graduate early primarily a financial one, or was it also like fitting more within your personal life plan?
I've always been an independent person, so that was kind of my rationalizing of, yeah, sure, I can be an adult sooner. But yes, when I had to figure out loans on my own and realizing how much it was actually going to cost, I didn't want it to cost more than it had to. So I tried to figure out CLEP tests are only $80 or $89. for a class, and then you study on your own, and then you go into a testing center. And if you pass, you get the 3 credits for that requirement. So I tried to figure out as many CLEP tests that I could take. And I figured out community college classes that I could take, and 18 credit semesters, those kinds of things. I really have been planning these 3 years out very intensely and meticulously.
Yeah, sounds like a very meticulous financial burden. And
Yeah.
so when you think about the future of this plan, has the way you approach student loans affected possible career decisions or what you are considering for your post-grad life?
Honestly, as the optimistic 20-something person that I am, I hope that it doesn't. I am a communications major, so I really enjoy that creativity and working with other people that are creative and that kind of job and career. Now, that doesn't always lend itself to a lot of money. So the dreamer in me would like to hope that I can and I can make that work. But right now I'm in an internship where I'm doing sales and marketing, and obviously sales is more profitable. And a lot of people find, as I've been talking, I've only been there for a week now, but I've talked with a lot of the sales reps, and one of the sales reps that I talked to, she went to West Virginia and she had a lot of debt. And she said, once I got out and I had a sales job and I had a really good paycheck, she said, I couldn't not do that. I couldn't pick a different career. I couldn't pick a different avenue.
Right.
So ask me in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Hopefully I've stayed true to wanting to be creative and wanting to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
But
things change.
But I have those skills. I've set myself up to have those skills if I need to. So.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting to think that sometimes what you study and the way you spend your time in college can set you up on one path, but like the financial situation can set you up on a completely different one. If those don't match up, then how are you supposed to spend your time after college?
Right.
Yeah. And so have you noticed in college that a lot of people that you know are going through the same financial situations, and that a lot of other people you know are encountering the same sort of crossfire with student loans?
Honestly, the ones that I'm closest with, like my roommates, I know about, but it's not a common topic, which is kind of funny. I think it goes with the taboo of I don't want to talk about money.
Right.
Because there are some people that you wouldn't expect that don't have to take out loans. And that can be an uncomfortable conversation. So I don't think it's talked about as much as it should be. I mean, I have to take out loans. I have no problem talking to people about it, but not everybody's the same way. So you don't know what you're going into. But my best friend and my roommate, she's in a tight situation too. And her family has done all that they can to help her as well. But she still has to take out loans and she still has to find scholarships. And she's a smart cookie too. So it's hard, you know? Something everybody can relate on, but doesn't always talk about.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult to broach sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So going forward as a young person in America who's like growing up in this system that's like very aggressive towards students, what do you think needs to change? Like how can this be overhauled? How can this be improved for students like yourself and your roommate and other people who are going through this?
Honestly, I think the first step, now, personally, I'd like a whole overhaul, but I know that that's always hard. And if you're going to come in with that kind of proposal, people are going to say, no, it's too much work. That's too much money. That can't happen. So on a small change level, I think what can be done is more practical education. And what I mean by practical, I mean, like when I was in high school, we had a counselor night, a college night. We had one night where they talked about FAFSA. and our parents came in and it was optional. I think that loans and scholarship and education about all those things should be something that is accessible at your college. I don't think it's as accessible at the college that I go to. It's there, but it's not a very robust system. And so if it was more accessible in the college world, and if education started sooner in the high school world, I think that would be a very good start. Obviously, I'd want more, and I'd want more money from the government or whatever, and whatever is the common dialogue and discourse from young students. But I think that's a lot of change, and I think that people wouldn't be ready to accept that. So I think the start would be education and accessible education.
That makes perfect sense. All right. That pretty much concludes our interview, Laura. Thank you so much for being here on the show with us and sharing your personal experience with student loans. It's a very powerful story and affects a lot of people in the US today. So again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Leo. Thanks for having me. I really like to talk about it, and I think it's nice that this conversation has a place and is continuing and growing. I really like it.
It's something that needs to be brought to light more.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much.